Well, folks, good day to you one and all, and welcome to, where we now? Season 5, Sports and GT Masters. And as usual, our regular team of Frankie Yennis and FC Nieuwert that's going to be bringing you the commentary today. We are in the beginning of the quali session. So, FC, here we go. Round number 1 of season number 5. Good evening to you.
Yeah, lovely to be back in the Second Gear production studio for season number 5. Round 1 coming to you live from Bathurst, Australia at Mount Panorama. We've got some interesting info on the circuit a little bit later for you. But also joining us, Mike's side, Frankie Yennis. Good evening to you.
Yes, FC, Gary, hi, hello, welcome everybody. And as FC was saying, we are in Australia. We are at Mount Panorama and at the Bathurst, city of Bathurst, where Mount Panorama is. And this is very famous for the Aussie V8 supercar racing, and there's also a sports car race that happens here at Mount Panorama. And we are in the qualifying for round 1 of season 5 iRacing Master Series.
Yeah, the guys have already started posting times up there, and Luke Lucchesi currently holding provisional pole with a 2-minute 2.058. And there was one person that managed to break the 2-minute 2 barrier in the practice session, and that was
Jan Fourie.
Johan Fourie that managed to do that. So let's see if Johan can post that time again here in qualifying. Graham Stephen currently in that provisional second position, 2 minutes 2.405, with Francois Hubert currently holding that third spot with a 2-minute 2.535 seconds.
Yeah, as you watch Graham Stephen race down the Conrad Straight towards the chase, that's heading towards the end of the lap. We move up to the man that's sitting in pole position, Luke Lucchesi, with a 202.058 in the Martini Racing BMW. Once again there with Graham Stephen in the Gulf-coloured Beamer, working his way around Mount Panorama, and he is there in that second position so far with a 2-minute 0.02.405.
Francois Hubert out there in the Alpha Tauri BMW. He goes second fastest now. Jumps into that second position with a 2-minute 2.295 as they try to chase down Luke Lucchesi. Timothy Stanton out there in that black and green BMW, currently in fourth position on a 2-minute 3.264. Then Peter van der Spey, Captain Pete, out there in the current fifth position in the BMW with a 2-minute 3.754, but he gets pipped down by Jaco Forster, who puts her time up in the Lamborghini of 2-minute 3.329.
Yeah, listen to that howling 12-cylinder Lamborghini Hurricane of Jaco Forster with a 203.329 there by Jaco. And Robbie Teens is there in that Shell Helix BM in that 7th position. So far with a time of 203.839. He's provisionally in P7. But Luke Lucchesi, a 201.983 for Luke Lucchesi with 7.5 minutes done in this qualifying stint.
Yeah, Johan Engelbrecht finds himself in 8th position in the Mercedes with a 2-minute 4 seconds 0.021. Then JJ van der Merwe, who's currently in pit lane, he makes his way out onto the circuit now in that 9th position, the Martini BMW of JJ van der Merwe on a 2-minute 4.043. Sandra Bakari in 10th place in that thundering Mercedes, out there in 10th place with a 2-minute 4.191. And Gerald Maget in the Ferrari, currently sitting in 11th with a 2-minute 4.313.
Yeah, in that Gulf-coloured Ferrari there of Gerald Maget, 204.313, making his way around the top of the mountain. But Luke Lucchesi is just hammering in those quick times, 201.983. He is now in pit lane. He's Luke Lucchesi. Ian Riddle in that very loud coloured BMW.
Riddle me this. What colour is that BMW?
I'll tell you what. Ian in P13 so far with a 204.813.
Rainier Hubert in the McLaren out there, that blue, red and black McLaren, currently in 14th position, 2 minutes 5 seconds 0.185, with Rainier Hubert improving his time there, takes it up to 2 minute 4.421. That pips down Ian Riddle. Then Mike Verrier, currently in pit lane in the Mercedes with a time of 2 minute 5.349, and Colin Plitt as the session goes all red as everybody shifts down there, as Peter Hubert moves that McLaren up into 5th place with a 2-minute 3 dead out there in 5th place. Then we've got Colin Plitt, Herman Lazarus, and Cyril Ginsberg in there, and a couple of guys that still hasn't set a time yet.
Well, is Willem Botha, Frankie, that's out there on circuit. He has not put up a time yet, so he needs to get to the start-finish line within a very short period of time. Otherwise, he's not going to have the time out there. Another man that also doesn't have the time, that is Swayze Hubert. So, and Swayze, where he is now, there's no ways he's going to make all the way around in 20 seconds.
Oh, Willem Botha just posted his time. That's good enough for 5th place in the McLaren with a 2-minute 2.501. And Johan Fourie, the fastest man out there, with a 2-minute 1.812 as we go into the last 4 seconds here of qualifying.
Well, it's only Johan Fourie and Luc Leclerc that are in the very high 201s. Everybody else is mid to low 202s or mid to low 203s, with the rest doing 204s and 205s. So the qualifying stint is done, and the grid for round number 1 of season 5 is Johan Fourie and Luc Leclerc. They lock out row number 1. Row number 2 is Francois Hubert and Graham Stephen.
Row number 3 sees Willem Botha and Peter Hubert taking up the positions next to each other. Timothy Stanton, row number 4, alongside him, Jaco Forster in that 8th position.
Row 5, Peter van der Spey and Robbie Teings, and row 6, Johan Engelbrecht and JJ van der Merwe.
Sandra Bakari in 13th position, alongside him, Gerald Moget, with Stephen McCarthy in that 15th place, with Rainier Hubert closing up row number 8.
Then Ian Riddle and Mike Verrier, Colin Plitt, Herman Lazarus, Cyril Ginsberg, Swayze Hubert, and in 23rd position with the pink livery is Eugene Minuk.
Yeah, that bright pink livery out there for Eugene Minuk. So what does that pink livery mean? It means at the last race, which would have been, I think theirs would have been the 6 hour, whoever had the most X's, the most off-track excursions.
No, that was round 12 of season 4.
Round 12 of season 4.
Yes.
That whoever has the most exits will now, with the next race with the pink livery. And obviously the champion of the previous season would be allowed to race in the gold livery if they so choose. And that man would be Luke Lucchese, your defending champion for round number 5,
yeah,
season 5.
I think Luke has opted not to go out there with a gold livery. Look, it's not a must that you have to go out there with a gold. It's just an idea. But it's a must that you will race in pink if you have 17. No, not 17.
The most.
If you have the most errors out on circuit, yes.
Just having a quick look here, there's one person, that's why the grid is holding up. There he comes on now, Johan Engelbrecht. He was the last man to join in, and Johan Engelbrecht has made it onto the grid. So I'm pretty sure, without having a look at the regs, that this will probably be, as usual, a rolling start. 50% fuel, which I do believe is around about 40 liters. Is there going to be fuel stops? Well, you know how Mike Verrier does it. He gives you some of the info, makes you work out the rest, and that's what gives us the variety.
Well, he said 50% fuel, which is, he did say in the group, it's about 50 liters of fuel, so they're going to have to do at least one pit stop. That was just before the chase, where they gridded them. Now they're going under the bridge, heading towards Murray's Corner, and then from there, FC, as the safety car pulls out the way, in the final corner, Murray's Corner, it'll be green for 40 minutes of Bathurst at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, 6.2 kilometers of racetrack ahead of these guys for over 40 minutes. We go green, and it's racing time at Mount Panorama at Bathurst, Australia, as they all dash down to the line. Luke Lucchese sitting in that 2nd place. It is Johan Fourie that leads them into turn number 1. That is Hell Corner, as they all get bundled up there. Jaco Forster tumbling down the order. There must have been contact there for him, but it's Fourie, Lucchese, Francois Hubert. Graham Stephen moves up into 3rd place there ahead of Hubert, with Willem Botha in that 5th position.
Yeah, Timothy Stanton and Robbie Teings right on each other's cases there as the two leaders are side by side, making their way through Corrie Ben, heading towards the cutting. And in the lead is Johan Fourie from Luc Lucchese, from Graham Stephen. Right behind him is Francois Hubert and Willem Botha, followed there by Peter Hubert. There's nothing separating these guys. There is a bit of a gap before we see Timothy Stanton. He's been hounded there by Robbie Teings, Van der Spey, Van der Merwe, Engelbrecht, Sander Bakari. They're all in there. Sander Bakari in that Lucky Strike liveried BMW AMG. Sorry, Mercedes-Benz AMG.
Luke Lucchesi now falling a little bit back behind your race leader, Johan Free, in that second position. He's got Graham Stephen and Francois Hubert battling it out there for third and fourth behind him. Peter Hubert out there in that yellow McLaren as it spews fire as they start coming down the mountain. That is through the S's towards Dipper. Then they'll head into Forest Elbow and onto the Conrad Straight before they dash back down to the Chase chicane before they start their next lap.
Well, there is nothing between them. They're all making their way through Forest Elbow now, racing under the Jim Beam Bridge down the Conrad Straight towards the Chase. That is as quick as it gets from the top of the mountain all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. They will be making their way towards the Chase now, and it is Johan Fourie, that's 7/10 of a second there ahead of Luke Lucchesi. In turn, 8/10 of a second ahead there of Graham Stephen. 0.3 of a second behind him is Francois Hubert, followed there by Willem Botha, and 1.1 seconds behind him is Peter Hubert. So that first five are all over each other, and Johan Fourie, a 2:04.538, is the quickest driver out there so far.
Yeah, fastest lap time so far there for Johan Fourie on a 2 minute 4 seconds as the whole field comes barreling past and back onto the main straight. Now they go up the mountain straight towards Quarry Bend with your race leader Johan Fourie behind him, 7/10 of a second down Luke Lucchesi. Just let's enjoy this view here from Johan Fourie's car. I said earlier during the practice rounds, this must be quite easy going up the mountain, but coming down the mountain must be one of the scariest experiences in your life, with those tight, twisty corners from Skyline through the S's towards Dipper when you start descending the mountain.
Yeah, I think the moment you get there to Salmon Park and then to McFilmy Park, then all of a sudden from there, then you are on top of the mountain, and it's there where it starts to get hair-raising, especially through the Skyline, the S's and the Dipper. That's where you're going to have to know your stuff. Otherwise, you're going to hit the concrete wall either on your left or right-hand side.
Yeah, that's basically the section they're going through there now, through the S's. That is Johan Fourie leading them out there. Luke Lucchesi right on his case, 6/10 of a second down. Then 1.5 seconds back from them, Graham Stephen with Francois Hubert on his case. Then Timothy Stanton, he's now dropped way down, 4.5 seconds is your next man, but he's got Robbie Teens right on his case, is Timothy Stanton, with Peter van der Spey, JJ van der Merwe and Johan Engelbrecht all rack stacked and packed there behind one another.
Right, there is Robbie Teens. He's got Peter van der Spey right in there behind him. Then it's Johannes van der Merwe, Johan Engelbrecht. And there is 3/10 of a second between van der Merwe and Engelbrecht. And there's 5/10 of a second between van der Merwe and van der Spey. And they're all chasing down Peter van der Spey, 7th position. Sander Bakari, 2.7 seconds in there just behind them. And Sander Bakari's been hassled there. But Sander Bakari loses the circuit, and Gerald Mouget will nail him, but Mouget also goes off the track. So trouble out there for both Mouget and Bakari, and eventually it is Gerald Mouget that gets his nose ahead there of Sander Bakari.
Well, let's have a look at some of the incidents that have happened so far before they get too far down the road. This was an incident with Cyril Ginsberg. Oh, he just got tipped there from behind, and that just touched him up against the wall. Eugene Manouk had an incident, and as we said, Eugene is in the pink peak, and it looks like might just have a bit of an off there. Oh, yeah, well, there was just nowhere for him to go, and that's what created that. Willem Botha, I think we did actually see that one. No, we didn't. This is different. Willem Botha, wow, look at that. Acting to keep it all together. But, yeah, that just caused bigger and bigger problems, and that's where Peter Hubert comes into this one as well, as he comes flying around the corner, and bang, there's just nowhere to go, and that takes him out of it completely. So just some of the accidents and action that's happened up until now as we go back live and we go to the front end of the field. Look at this.
Well, it's Johan Fourie from Luke Lucchesi. There is nothing between them. 5/10 of a second between the two BMW drivers of Johan Fourie and Luke Lucchesi. They're getting away now from Graham Stephen in that third position, but he's been hassled there by Francois Hubert. So it's BMW all the way from P1 down to P7, all BMWs out there with Timothy Stanton, and he has got Robbie Teens behind him, 2.3 seconds behind him, followed there by 1.2 seconds behind Teens is Peter van der Spey. JJ van der Merwe was in there as well with the Martini Racing BMW. And then 3.8 seconds behind him is Sandro Bakari in the Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, Sandro Bakari sitting out there in the Mercedes, but he's got on his case, he's got Stephen McCarthy and Mike Verrier. Verrier is right on the case of McCarthy. There's a big battle heading out there, but Luke Lucchesi closes right down onto the tail end of your race leader. Johan Fourie starts to apply a bit of pressure. We have seen Johan Fourie do something similar, start holding back a little bit, and then during the pit stop phase, that's where he catches up. But Luke Lucchesi looks to be the man on the move.
There's a lovely fight going out there for P11, and that's been held there by Stephen McCarthy. Look at those guys racked and stacked in there behind McCarthy as we ride aboard with McCarthy, Mike Verrier, Gerald Mouget, Ian Riddle, Sway Schubert, and Jaco Forster. They are all fighting out there for Stephen McCarthy's 11th position, and he is the first man out the top 10. He's 1.3 seconds behind Sandro Bakari, and McCarthy has got them racked and stacked in there behind him.
Yeah, that's basically all of them you see out there is battling for that position, starting from Mike Verrier right on the case there of McCarthy with Mouget, Riddle, Sway Schubert, Jaco Forster, all of them in there trying to make a move. But it is Mike Verrier who's first got to get past Stephen McCarthy as he's glued to the back bumper of the Ferrari of McCarthy.
Yeah, that 8-ball 24/7 BMW all over the back of the Sugine Properties Ferrari of Stephen McCarthy is Mike Verrier. He is now a second ahead of Gerald Mouget, just under a second now. Mouget has closed up there on him, and they are 1.3 seconds ahead there of Sway Schubert in P14. He in turn, he's got Jaco Forster all over the back of him, and Jaco Forster sits out there in that 15th position, and Jaco was all over the back there of Sway Schubert. Jaco Forster, the only driver out there in the Lamborghini Hurricane.
What a beautiful looking race car it is, and Frankie, so fitting the mountain where they are racing, Mount Panorama, in the local dialect called Walu, which actually means young man's initiation place. So what a fitting name for a racetrack where some of our older gentlemen even come to have been initiated in one of the top forms of motorsport.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of guys that get initiated in the Aussie V8 supercars when they go and race there, that's for sure. But have a look at Johan Fourie and Luke Lucchesi. There is nothing. Oh, there's 800ths of a second. He's going to have a go at him somewhere. That's going up the mountain straight towards Quarry Bend. And no, I was going to say into the lead goes Luke Lucchesi, but it's still Johan Fourie that's holding on there somehow, someway. He's hanging in there. And the two of them have got a comfortable lead there on François Hubert, who's now 5.9 seconds behind them.
Lucchesi definitely stamping down his mark here, but let's go down to Sandro Bakari, who's busy getting closer and closer to the man ahead of him in that BMW, JJ van der Merwe. Johannes van der Merwe getting in trouble here because Sandro Bakari is also the man on the move. That lucky struck Mercedes looking like it's very, very hungry to try and gobble up that Martini BMW ahead of him.
I'll tell you what, that's a lovely fight out there, but look at Jaco Forster. He is only 0.2 of a second behind Mike Verrier. The BMW is being attacked there by the Lamborghini. As a matter of fact, they are all chasing down Gerald Mouget's 12th position because Sway Schubert in P13 is right in there as well. As you have a look at Jaco Forster crowding the back end there of the 8-ball 24/7 BMW of Dr. Mike Verrier. And just ahead there of Mike Verrier, you see the BMW of Sway Schubert. And I'll tell you what, Jaco Forster's wringing this Lamborghini's neck as he chases down Mike Verrier, who in turn is chasing down Sway Schubert.
Yeah, the BMW of Sway Schubert being chased down there. Mike actually dropped back a bit. He was right on the case there of Stephen McCarthy, so he must have made a big mistake somewhere in his pursuit of McCarthy, and that's dropped him all the way down to 14th position as Gerald Mouget and Sway Schubert both made it past him, and now he's starting to pull away from the likes of Jaco Forster.
Well, that fight up front is getting hot. It's getting really hot. Is Luke Lucchesi biding his time? 2:03.2. Wow, my word, they're almost identical times. Is Johan Fourie and Luke Lucchesi on their last lap. It is a lovely fight out there. François Hubert sitting in that third position, and he's only 1.8 seconds FC ahead of Graham Stephen there in P4.
Yeah, behind them as Cyril Ginsberg came out of the pit lane there. I wonder if that was for a drive-through penalty. But Peter van der Spey out there in 6th position. He's got the likes of Johan Engelbrecht about 1.3 seconds behind him in that Mercedes, and then Johannes van der Merwe down in 8th position. This circuit having one of the most intense elevation changes, 174 meters, the difference between the lowest and the highest points of this circuit. And what a view it must be to sit in the seat of one of these cars making your way around the circuit. Riding on board there with Timothy Stanton in the 69 BMW. He is a half a second there from Sandro Bakari. Well, it looks like Timothy Stanton had an off earlier there in the Roland BMW, but making his way back onto the circuit. Ooh, very, very close, almost contact there for Sandro Bakari with that BMW.
Zurus also having a bit of a moment. Because got CO ZA in his favorite color of blue. Now, how do you recover, Frankie, from that? And pray.
Taking you right back to the action with your race leader, Johan Fourie, in the monster BMW. He is now starting to pull away there from the second place man, Luke Lucchesi. Lucchesi having dropped back down to about 0.7 of a second again. But you can bet your bottom dollar that Lucchesi will be getting closer and closer again pretty soon, as he would try to get the lead of this race. Yeah, behind them, there's an even bigger fight going on there for that 13th, 14th, 15th position between Mike Verrier, Gerald Mauger. Mauger literally glued to the back bumper of Mike Verrier. There we go now. Look at that. He's right up on the case of Mike Verrier. Closes the door in front of Gerald Mauger as Mauger desperately tries to get that Ferrari past the Mercedes. Yeah, that's another view from Peter Hubert's perspective. Oh, as he makes contact with the McLaren as well. So that Peter Hubert having a miserable race out here today. Yeah, having been involved in quite a couple of incidents, which has got nothing to do with him. Yeah, Gerald Mauger is still trying to make that pass on Mike Verrier. They're having a lovely dice late on the brakes. They go, and it's Mauger that dives up on the inside, but he runs it wide, coming out the corner. Now he's all over the show, and Mike Verrier says, "Thank you very much. I'll take that back." That. Well, he says, I'm going to cup a few donuts here in Hell's Corner.
That's Gerald Mauger. So, Gerald Mauger making his way across the start-finish line into turn number 1 as we race aboard with Johan Fourie. Johan Fourie sitting out there in P1, and he's now got 0.4 of a second between himself and Luke Lucchesi. 0.4 of a second is absolutely nothing. And Lucchesi has been hounding Fourie from the get-go all the way as they work their way out of Forest Elbow. Now, under the Jim Bean Bridge they go. FC Racing down that Conrad Straight.
Yeah, down the Conrad Straight they go into that right-hander, the Chase, which is that kink that you see just before you get to Murray's Corner and start your next lap. It is Johan Free, Luke Lucchesi hounding him down that straight. Francois Hubert finding himself out in no man's land in that third position, 4 seconds behind your race leaders, and then Graham Stephen, another almost 4 seconds behind them.
Yeah, Graham Stephen is 3.9 seconds behind him, and then it's a big gap before we see Robbie Teings in P5. Robbie Teings 8.9 seconds behind Graham Stephen. Then in that sixth position, we've got Peter van der Spey, Captain P. He's there in P6 behind that man that you see there. Peter van der Spey 2.2 seconds behind Robbie Teings, and Johan Engelbrecht not too far behind Peter van der Spey. He's 1.9, nearly 2 seconds behind Peter van der Spey. In that seventh position is Engelbrecht.
Let's have a look here what happened to Willem Botha and the McLaren. The Valentino Rossi McLaren gets it all wrong into that pedigree corner. That's how you drift a McLaren, but try to keep it out the wall.
Okay, so how do you recover from there, Frankie?
You just flick it around, light up the rear wheels, and it's the same place that we had the off early on, and hope once again nobody comes out of that right-hander right behind you.
I have a feeling this circuit is making a lot of men out there become a lot more religious after spinning it out.
Well, you're going to race up when it comes around the corner.
You did say it's well, in the local names it means, what did you say, making
young man's initiation place.
A lot of guys have been initiated out here on top of that mountain today, that's for sure.
Especially going through that section, that must be one of the scariest sections to a race with. Luke Lucchesi right on the tail there of Johan Fourie as they go through the S's through Dipper and now head into Forest Elbow, which will take them there. They go onto the Conrad Straight, heading towards the Chase.
So down that Conrad Straight they go. That is as quick as these two BMWs can go. Slightly over the rise they go, and then run it down towards the Chase. The Chase will be coming up soon. There you'll see it in front of you. They go slightly to the right, then they'll turn into the left-hander, and then back into the right-hand again. Then they're on the gas into the final corner. That is Murray's Corner, which, by the way, is named after the late Murray Walker.
Murray Walker, one of the legendary motorsport commentators around the world. And as they head down the pit straight towards turn number 1, that is Hell Corner. They're side by side. Then Francois Hubert comes through in that third position with Graham Stephen in the Gulf Oil BMW in a lonely fourth position. He's 5 seconds behind third place Hubert and 9 seconds ahead of the fifth place Robbie Teings, who makes his way across the start-finish line now.
Well, other than the fight up front, there is one for 11th position. Sways Hubert has been hassled there by Timothy Stanton. We're going to have a look at that one right now, because Timothy Stanton is only 0.4 of a second behind Sways Hubert. There comes Johan Engelbrecht through. He's sitting out there in that 7th position. JJ van der Merwe 3.7 seconds behind him, and they put a lap there on Eugene Manouk. Then it's Sandra Bakari in P9, and rounding off the top 10 is Stephen McCarthy. Then that fight that I was talking about, Sways Hubert, and he has been hassled there by Timothy Stanton. The Licky Molly BMW has been chased there by the Roland Manifolds BM of Stanton as they make their way through the top part of the mountain.
Yeah, that fight there for 11th and 12th. As Stanton gets it all wrong, that's going to cause a bottleneck in that very narrow section of the circuit. Everybody makes their way through. Peter Hubert, Mike Verrier, as Stanton now gets that BMW pointed in the right direction.
Well, he was all over him. Now he's lost a lot of positions now, as Timothy Stanton has dropped all the way down to that 14th position. But Eugene Manouk ahead of him also had trouble of his own. And that could also be a reason why, yeah, he spun in sympathy basically there, because Eugene Manouk was very slow to that part of the mountain.
Back to your race leader, Johan Fourie, up at the front of the circuit, having about a half a second gap between himself and second place man Lucchesi as they start another lap coming down your pit straight. Fourie leading half a second there between himself and Lucchesi. Then Hubert in third with Graham Stephen in fourth position.
Right, FC, here we come to the $1 million question. We're halfway in this 40 minutes when are these two going to blink for their first pit stops? That is the question. I think from about 25 minutes on, they're going to start heading into the pits. All of them are going to have to pit. The question is, who's going to want to do the undercut on who here between Fourie and Lucchesi?
Well,
is Lucchesi, as they say, playing with his food?
We have someone in the pits. Johan Engelbrecht has dove into the pit lane in the Mercedes. So he is in there, as is Timothy Stanton, Eugene Manook in there as well. Who else? Yeah, those are all the guys that are in the pit lane at the moment as the race leaders continue battling out there. There's less than 1/10 of a second between the two of them. There's a close fight between Lucchesi and Fourie. It's all-out war at the front of this race.
Well, I think we must stay with this, Dice, because if you look all the way down the leaderboard, there's pretty big-ish gaps, except for Mujay and Plitten be 14 and 15. So we're going to hang around with this fight for a while between Johan Fourie and Luke Lucchesi, the two BMWs, the Monster Energy BMW, being chased and hunted down there by the Martini Racing BMW. Fourie being chased down and stalked and hunted down there by Luke Lucchesi. Fourie is the prey at this point in time, and Lucchesi is the hunter. Well, let me tell you this for nothing, that Johan Fourie will absorb as much pressure as what Luke Lucchesi can offer him.
It's getting close, and Fourie makes a mistake. He lets the door open, and it's through goes Lucchesi. Lucchesi has put up the ultimate fight, forces Johan Fourie into that mistake, and it takes control of this race. And does that mean Johan Fourie is going to change up his strategy a bit, or does François Hubert sends blood in the water?
And just as I say that he can absorb all the pressure he gets offered, he goes and makes a mistake out there. And now he's 1.3 seconds behind him in that second position. However, Sandro Bakari has been hunted down by this man, and that is Stephen McCarthy. And he is 1 second behind Sandro Bakari is Steve. And the two of them are fighting out there for Sandro's 8th position. He's now under a second. Is McCarthy behind Bakari as the Ferrari chases down the Mercedes-Benz.
Well, that sounds familiar. A little bit of a Formula One tussle. Ferrari chasing down the likes of Mercedes with the McLaren mix in there as well.
A couple of PBs there for Bakari, McCarthy, and Suisse Hubert.
So let's have a look at the best lap so far. Your fastest lap time has been posted by your race leader, Luke Lucchesi, the man on the move there, 2 minutes 2.060, with a lot of the guys, well, only the front four being able to get close to those 2 minutes 2 seconds.
But if I was Johan Fourie, as we have a look at him and Lucchesi just ahead of him, if I was Johan Fourie, he's now beginning to lose ground there on Luke Lucchesi. He's 1.3 seconds behind him, and he clips at Falcon Tire Board as they race down the Conrad Straight. If I was Johan Fourie, as we watch the man in a lonely third position there, François Hubert, I would, with 25 minutes almost done, FC, I would head into the pits now if I was him and try and go for the undercut.
Yeah, I do think Johan Fourie got a bit rattled with that one, and he's now semi-overdriving that car to stay there with the Lucchesi. Because if you look at François Hubert, he was at one stage, he was 4 seconds behind your two race leaders. Now he's brought it down to about 2.7 seconds. So I think François Hubert is starting to smell blood in the water and trying to get closer to try and make a move there on Johan Fourie.
Well, Fourie now, you see 1.8 seconds. It's nearly 2 seconds that he's losing ground there to Luke Lucchesi. But it is Stephen McCarthy and Suisse Hubert that smell blood in the water, as you say, because the two of them are hunting down Bakari's 8th position. All three of those drivers you saw there in the same shot. There we go. Bakari, McCarthy, and Hubert as they make their way towards Murray's Corner.
Yeah, into Murray's Corner. That is the final corner of the circuit. Back onto the pit straight towards turn number 1, the Hell Corner. It is Sandro Bakari with Stephen McCarthy right in his case. Suisse Hubert, we're still in touching fight there with that one as Jaco Forster makes a move there on Gerald Mujay a little bit further down the road. Mujay falling down the circuit as Colin Plitt also gets past him, but Mujay into the pits.
Well, here comes Stephen McCarthy, Sujin Property and SS Racing on the side of that Ferrari of McCarthy, he's 3/10 of a second behind Sandro Bakari in the Lucky Strike Mercedes-Benz. And that Merc is being crowded there by that prancing horse as they make their way through Quarry Bend and through the cutting. Working their way now slowly but surely towards the top of the mountain is Stephen McCarthy in P9, and the man just ahead of him, Sandro Bakari, but Sway Schubert just out of shot behind McCarthy in P10 is in the hunt as well. He's 2/10 of a second in there just behind Stephen McCarthy.
He's a lot closer to McCarthy than what McCarthy is to Bakari at this stage of the fight.
True story.
Stephen McCarthy might actually get into a bit of trouble here as Sway Schubert is going to start applying the pressure in that Liqui Moly BMW.
Well, I tell you what, this is brilliant stuff out there. It is the Mercedes-Benz, the Ferrari, and the BMW fighting out each other for that 8th position.
Fourie into the pits. Fourie blinks and heads into the pits.
So he's going for that undercut.
Yeah, Francois Hubert goes past. He takes up the 2nd position there. Graham Stephen makes his way into the pits as well. So 2nd and 4th place getting into the pits to try and make that undercut work.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to go for the undercut. Is Johan Fourie because he was losing a lot of ground. Here comes Robbie Tings, and he makes his way into turn the final corner. This is Murray's corner as the captain Peter van der Spey makes his way into pit lane, and Johannes van der Merwe says, not yet, I'm taking my Martini Racing BMW through, and Stephen McCarthy making his way into pit lane. Well, I did say anything from 25 minutes onwards, pit stops would proceed.
Yeah, Peter Hubert also diving into the pits. Who's going to be the next one to blink to go in? Will Mike Verrier go in or will he go past? Graham Stephen makes his way out of the pits. Johan Fourie's out of the pits already, as is Graham Stephen. All of them coming in now. Ian Riddle is into the pits. Jaco Forster into the pits. Colin Plitt into the pit lane as well, as everybody dives into the pits now.
Well, this is the one and only pit stop. Unless you make mistakes, you have to repair or you get drive-through, as Eugene Manouk is in the pits, busy making his way out. He's had a horror show, has Eugene Manouk, but Luke Lucchesi in the lead still has not made a pit stop yet. Neither has Francois Hubert and Robbie Teens, and for that matter, JJ van der Merwe, Sway Hubert and Sandro Bakari. These guys still have to pit. It's only Johan Fourie, the first of those top 7, that has had a pit stop so far.
Yeah, let's have a look. Is Lucchesi going to go in, or is he going to try and eke out this race as long as he can? Remember, we saw in the first 6 hours this year that Lucchesi, well, he dives into the pits now, but he likes to take that first stint a little bit longer, gets a little bit more fuel out as Francois Hubert dives in as well. Then he doesn't have to take on as much fuel for that final stint as Luke Lucchesi. So let's see if he can make this one work again.
Right, so Johan's going for the undercut. Luke is going for the overcut. Let's have a look and see. Will the undercut work or will the overcut work? If Luke comes out ahead of Johan, then the overcut has worked. If Johan comes out ahead of Luke, then the undercut has worked as Robbie Teens heads into pit lane.
Yeah, Teens into that pit lane. Where is Francois Hubert? He's in the pit lane as well. Robbie Teens in there. Johan Fourie now past Teens. Is he going to make it past the likes of Francois Hubert? Hubert gets going, but Johan Fourie takes that 2nd position from him. Can he get the past Lucchesi? It should be very, very tight. No, it's not. It's Lucchesi still ahead. 3.5 seconds ahead of Fourie is Lucchesi. So that overcut definitely working in his favor.
Yeah, the overcut worked there for Luke Lucchesi. Johan's undercut did not work. As a matter of fact, he's 3.2 seconds behind Luke Lucchesi. So what Johan Fourie tried was the right thing to do, but it did not work as Dr. Mike Verrier makes his way into pit lane. So we go back to the race leader, Luke Lucchesi in the Pantera Racing BMW, 2.7 seconds ahead of Johan Fourie. This is now where Luke is going to have to settle down, and Johan as well. Neil Hubert, for that matter, is also in pit lane, but the Lucchesi's got a comfortable lead there on him with 2.6 seconds. Now, Lucchesi's pit stop was 12.6 seconds. Johan Fourie was 13.1. Francois Hubert was 11.2. As a matter of fact, the quickest one out there was Mike Verrier, did a 10.1 seconds.
Yeah, 10.1 there for Dr. Mike, as these guys battle it out there. Peter van der Spey and Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari being very, very racy there behind Johannes van der Merwe, with Peter van der Spey right on their case there as well in that 11th position, with Mike Verrier 11 seconds down the line. But that is the big fight to watch out for now, that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th position. That is where the big battle is now, with Peter Hubert leading that pack, with JJ van der Merwe on his case, Sandra Bakari being very, very racy out there in 10th place, and Peter van der Spey in 11th.
So they are all fighting for Peter Hubert's 8th position. That McLaren has got them racked and stacked in there behind him. Johannes van der Merwe, Sandra Bakari, and Peter van der Spey. There is Sandra Bakari coming through, and right behind Sandra Bakari is Peter van der Spey. He's just under a second as van der Spey behind Bakari, and Bakari is 0.5 of a second behind van der Merwe, who is 1.2 seconds ahead there behind Peter Hubert.
Well, going back to the top of this race, or top speeds, shall I say, rather. Fastest man out there looks to be... is that Peter Hubert?
Peter Hubert, yes.
Peter Hubert, 281 kilometers an hour through the speed trap. So he's the fastest man out there.
And the second quickest is Renier Hubert, 280.
Yeah. So that's the McLaren. So the McLaren's having a lot of straight line speed in this race.
Yeah, so and Luke Lucchesi is a kilometer an hour slower than what Johan Fourie is. 271 k's for Luke and 272 for Johan Fourie, who's now nearly 3 seconds behind Luke Lucchesi.
Hey, he might be a kilometer an hour slower, but he's a lot more consistent over the lap. That's how he managed to stay right on the case there of Fourie and eventually force him into that error as we're riding on board there with Captain Peter van der Spey. I must say, what a lovely livery on that BMW.
Well, I went to go watch Top Gun Maverick, and this will all fall into place now because Tom Cruise's name is Pete Mitchell, and he's a captain, and we've got a Captain Peter van der Spey, so maybe we should call him Captain Pete Maverick van der Spey.
But riding on board there, what a beautiful view there of that front suspension working on that BMW. You can see all the carbon fiber bits everywhere. They've made that car lighter, the boys there from BMW, as they make their way around Mount Panorama and Bathurst in Australia.
So we'll have a look now and see which driver has made the most errors so far. FC, this one should be an interesting stat. That will be coming up shortly as we drive with Maverick, with Peter van der Spey, as he makes his way out of Forest Elbow and starts heading down the Conrad Straight.
Well, by the looks of things, Eugene Minuk looks to be in for another session in pink, as he's currently sitting out there with 11. It just goes up to 11 now as we ride there with them. And who's currently in second? I think it's Gerald Mauger on 7 at the moment in his Ferrari.
Yeah, and then there's Timothy Stanton has got a 5, and Peter Hubert has also got a 5 errors at this point in time. But it is all about Johan Engelbrecht. You see there, he sits in that 8th position. JJ van der Merwe is right in there behind Johan Engelbrecht, and Sandro Bakari, his turn is all over the back end there of van der Merwe. He is 0.4 of a second. He's the man you're riding on board with, Bakari, behind the BMW of JJ van der Merwe.
Beautiful dice happening out there at the moment between van der Merwe and Bakari. Bakari getting oh so close to that back bumper as they're dashing down, heading towards the quarry bend, and they're going to start climbing Mount Panorama here, or Mount Walu, out in a Bathurst here in Australia, as he's trying to put as much pressure there on JJ van der Merwe, force him into a mistake, but he can't take it too easy there behind van der Merwe, as Peter van der Spey is on the move.
I was just going to say, watch out for Captain Pete. There he comes out there behind van der Merwe and behind Bakari. There's van der Spey in the 11th position. Only 1.7 seconds is Captain Pete behind Sandro Bakari, who in turn is only 0.4 of a second behind van der Merwe.
I'm looking at the timing screens here, and I'm predicting Francois Hubert made a massive mistake somewhere, because he's gone all the way down from about 2.8, 2.9 seconds to 6.2 seconds behind racing. Oh, there it goes, yeah.
I was just going to say, Johan Fourie, yes, he's dropped all the way down to third. Third is Johan Fourie, and he lost that position there to Francois Hubert. Getting all excited here because of the fact that Fourie made a mistake that He doesn't normally make, but after making that very first mistake and beginning to lose ground there to Lucchesi, it wasn't been quite the same after that, and it won't be quite the same for this man either. Hammer Lazarus in the McLaren as he hammers the wall very hard.
Oh yes, some hard knocks there for some of the guys, but Sandro Bakari now still applying a lot of pressure there on the man ahead of him. That is JJ van der Merwe in the Martini BMW as he's desperately trying to get that Merc closer and closer through the final corner. They go there right on the back bumper, puts his foot on the accelerator down the pit straight, tries to hang in there. There's 0.2 of a second between them as they go down as the main straight into Hell Corner. Then they're going to go down a mountain straight towards Quarry Bend. Will Bakari be able to get ever so much closer and try to make a move here on JJ van der Merwe?
We'll have a look and see there. Van der Merwe being hassled there by Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari getting closer and closer. It's 1/10 of a second. He's right on his case. He moves to the inside before they get there to Quarry Bend, and through they go. Through Quarry Bend they go, the two of them. And it is Van der Merwe, and right behind him is Bakari. Time is beginning to run out. Nearly 37 minutes of the 40 is done as Sandro Bakari is all over the back there of Johannes van der Merwe.
Just under 3 minutes left in this race, and Sandro Bakari, he fancies himself a move up into P9 to try and get as much possible points here this evening as he possibly can. Forces van der Merwe to take that very, very wide line, almost clipping the banners there. As, it's going to be close. It's all-out war as they come down the mountainside here between Van der Merwe and Bakari. Through the S's they go now into Dipper, which will take them down to Forest Elbow and down that main straight, that back straight, the Conrad straight towards the chase.
Oh, I tell you what, Sandro Bakari is trying very hard as we go back to the man that's sitting out there in P1, Luke Lucchesi, 5.5 seconds ahead of that man that you see there. And that is Francois Hubert. He'll put a lap there on Herman Lazarus. Here comes Johan Fourie. That is there in that third position. He's 9.2 seconds ahead of Graham Stephen. That's there in a very lonely fourth position. Why? Because he's 20.4 seconds ahead of the man in P5 in the Shell Helix BMW, namely Robbie Teens.
Yeah, Robbie Teens out there in that BMW sits in 5th place. He is 3 seconds behind or ahead of this man, Swayze Hubert in the Liqui Moly BMW. 5 seconds down the road from him is the McLaren of Peter Hubert, with a 2.5 seconds between himself and Johan Engelbrecht. Then there's JJ van der Merwe with that dogfight between himself and Sandro Bakari coming down the pit straight, with Peter van der Spey right on their case as well.
Yeah, I'm watching Peter van der Spey. Van der Spey is right in there. It's only 2.8 seconds behind Sandro Bakari, who in turn is 0.3 of a second behind Van der Merwe. There they go, up the mountain straight towards the Quarry Bend. The three of them going through. There you see the first, there the second, not too far behind them is Van der Spey, and Van der Merwe has been hassled heavily there by Bakari. They nearly side by side. Oh, I tell you what, this could end ugly as Gerald Bouget is in pit lane. I wonder if that's maybe not a drive-through penalty for Gerald Bouget.
That is possible, but we are in the final minute of racing as we watch this beautiful fight between Bakari and Van der Merwe. But your race leader makes his way under the Armorall Bridge. Where on the circuit does he find himself? He's going to head into the final corner with a mountain of time still ahead of him. So he's going to do one more lap to get this race underway, and or to continue this race, shall I say. Luke Lucchesi starting his final lap here, lap number 20 of the round 1 of the 5th season of Sports and GT Master Series.
Francois Hubert makes his way out of turn 1 called the Hell, and I figured it out why they call it the Hell, because you know there's hell waiting for you as you make your way up the mountain. Johan Fourie sitting there in that third position, 9.8 seconds. He is ahead there of Graham Stephen, as Fourie will put a lap there on Herman Lazarus in the McLaren. As you see Hubert make his way into that right-hander. There is Graham Stephen out there in that fourth position, 9.8 seconds behind Fourie, and he's 21.6 seconds ahead of Robbie Teens. But that fight is still going on there a bit further down FC between Bakari and Van der Merwe, and they are now challenging Engelbrecht for his 8th position.
Well, Bakari actually managed to get past Van der Merwe as they're chasing down Johan Engelbrecht now, but we have reached the 40-minute limit. And your race leader, there it is. That's where Sandra Bakari made the move into the first last corner, Murray's corner. But riding on board with your race leader, Luke Lucchesi, coming down the mountainside for the last time through that Falcon corner. Now he's going to go, that's Forest Elbow, onto the Conrad Straight. He goes now for the last time under the Jim Beam signs and the Armorall Bridge waiting for him just before he gets down to the chase. This is the last time they're going to come down this straight. Fuso, the signboard waiting for them there as they come towards the chase. Heading into that right-hander is your race leader, Luke Lucchesi.
To the chase he will go now. Then Murray's corner will wait for him. He's slowed it all down because he's 5.3 seconds ahead of Francois Hubert. Under the Armorall Bridge he goes into Murray's corner for the final time. Does the Martini Racing BMW of Luke Lucchesi, and happiness is a checkered flag and a victory for Lucchesi.
Lucchesi brings it home in P1. Francois Hubert brings that AlphaTauri BMW home in second, with Johan Fourie in the Monster BMW. He brings it home in P3. Graham Stephen, he's going to be the next man through as he comes out of Murray corner. Across the line he goes in a fourth position. And now a 20-second wait there for Robbie Teings as he makes it into the chase.
Yeah, in that Charles Helix BMW, Robbie Teings making his way towards the end of the lap. There he heads now. There's pit lane on his left-hand side. There's Murray corner. The left-hander goes Robbie Teings, and he will cross the line just 1.1 seconds ahead of the Liqui Moly BMW of Sway Hubert that finishes in P6.
The McLaren there of Peter Hubert crosses the line in P7, and he's about 9 seconds ahead of your 8th place man, Sandra Bakari, in the Lucky Strike Mercedes. There he crosses the line now. That is the end of the race for Sandra Bakari, with JJ van der Merwe in the 9th place and Peter van der Spey down in 10th position.
Yeah, I must say, the moment Bakari got his nose ahead of Van der Merwe, he pulled away from him. But here comes Dr. Mike Verrier, just out of the top 10 in P11. And he's 10 seconds behind Van der Spey, with Ian Riddle in the 12th position, 5.1 seconds behind Mike Verrier.
Jaco Forster brings the Lamborghini home in 13th place, followed by Colin Plitt. Rainier Hubert in the other McLaren out there. Then Stephen McCarthy brings home that Ferrari in the 16th position as he comes around the last corner now. Going to get it across the line in 16th place, with Timothy Stanton, the next man through in that BMW, coming around the final corner. What a race this has been for him, being constantly in that top 10, bringing it home now in 17th position, with Johanna Engelbrecht in 18th, being the last man on the lead lap. Gerald Maget 19th, Willem Botha in 20th place, with Herman Lazarus, Eugene Manouk, and Cyril Ginsberg.
Right, that is the entire lot. That was Season 5, race number 1 from Bathurst in Mount Panorama, the iRacing Master Series. So there your results are: Luke Lucchesi, Francois Hubert, Johan Fourie. That is your podium, followed there by Graham Stephen and Robbie Teings rounds off the top 5.
Sway Hubert brings it home in P6, followed by Peter Hubert, Sandra Bakari, JJ van der Merwe, and Peter van der Spey, rounding up your top 10.
Everybody on the lead lap until P17. They're the only 17 drivers on the lead lap, from P18 down 1 lap or more.
Well, folks, that is the end of tonight's action here. Sports and GT Master Series, race number 1 of Season 5. What a race it's been, and I must say, I think my driver of the day, even though he's only down in 8th position, Sandra Bakari, having been involved in basically every time we mentioned that there's action somewhere on the circuit, Sandra Bakari having been involved with that one. So for that, he's my driver of the day.
Yeah, I would think my hard luck, if we can pan a bit further down than 18th position, I would say Johan Engelbrecht qualifies, but definitely Willem Botha. I think I would give it to Willem Botha because he was right in that top group. And then went to Jaco Forster. That's another one. That in the opening lap, FC, you saw him tumble down the leaderboard, and he was right at top. So I would go with Jaco Forster.
There we go. Well, folks, that wraps it up here from the Second Gear studio. Big thanks from our side, FC Newboat, and I'll see you again at the next one.
Yeah, for myself, Frankie Yennis, enjoy the week and the coming weekend. There's a lot of motorsport happening around Cape Town this weekend. And we'll see you back here again next week, Wednesday.
Yep, next week, Wednesday, it's going to be. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was awesome to be with you here from the studios. And, yep, we'll be coming back to you. Well, join us somewhere at a racetrack this weekend, or we'll get you back here next week, Wednesday. Thanks for watching. On behalf of Second Gear Productions, good night to you, one and all.